Welcome back, folks. Special one today, episode number 9 of the Get a Grip on Life podcast. We have Daniel Woodrow. He's a comedian. Do I need to say anything more? This guy's hilarious. We had a great chat about a bunch of different things. He's such an interesting guy. He's not only is he like a comedian, but he's one of those like physical comedians. He kind of does it with his body. So you may want to watch this one on the YouTube channel. And while you're there, subscribe to the Get a Grip on Life podcast. Leave us a review on iTunes, Google Play, on the website, wherever, man. We want to know what's going on, what the listeners think, to make the show better and so on. So, hey, but you know what? Daniel Woodrow's awesome. Check him out. All his social media stuff, MR Woodrow on Instagram. He's on Facebook. He's on Twitter. He's on YouTube, everywhere. So check him out. We'll have all those links on the getagriponlife.com website. Subscribe, man. Check us out. This episode of the podcast is brought to you by Get a Grip Studios. Come on, man. You want to create content? Do you have a message to put out there? Come on. You're thinking about it. I know you are. You're thinking, I'm better than that Culligan. I can beat that guy. I'm better than that Joe Rogan guy. He's a punk. That Dan Carlin. I'm better. Hey, listen. Why not strike out? Why not do it? And when you're doing it, why waste your time on all the technical issues of putting out a show? Forget about all that. Stay focused on what matters, which is your content and your message. Let Get a Grip Studios take care of everything else, folks. It took me 2.5 years to figure this crap out. And now I figured it out, and I'm going to give it to you for a deal and a half. That's right. We got all sorts of entry points. We also, hey, you know what? If you want to come down and just talk to us or give us a call, we're on the website. Check out getagripstudios.com. Give us a call. We'll discuss what you need. And maybe, you can start small, you can start big, you can get after it. So go to getagripstudios.com. But right now, check out Daniel Woodrow on the Get a Grip on Life podcast, episode number 9. Welcome to the Get a Grip on Life podcast, Daniel Woodrow.
What's up? How's it going? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man, you're my first comedian, man.
Oh, really?
Yeah, bro.
Sweet.
So you're a stand-up comedian. Is every stand-up comedian also an actor? Is that like part of the gig?
Not necessarily exclusive, but usually yes. I feel like.
So you've been on Just for Laughs, MTV, Comedy Network, Video on Trial, SiriusXM, Fuse. You ever get recognized out there, man?
Oh, that's my bio. Yeah. Do I ever get recognized? Mostly for stand-up more than being anything on TV. But yeah, I would say a couple times a week if I'm having a good week.
You're
like in Toronto, downtown Toronto. Yeah. Definitely.
You like being recognized?
No, not really.
No?
Not really. I don't really like people. I like people. I just don't like people,
I only like it if they're laughing at what I'm saying.
It's a distance. There's a safety when you do stand-up. They don't talk to you. You talk to them, That's
what about hecklers? Hecklers talk to you.
Yeah, that's fine. I like doing crowd work when I do stand-up, but I love talking to the audience, and I don't encourage hecklers. Usually, before I talk to the audience, I've already done a bit of material so they know that I'm funny and pretty witty, so they don't go too hard. I don't normally get bad hecklers. More of the people that just make a comment or two, and I'm like, all right, if you want to play that game, it's fun. I think that's fun.
What kind of comments you get, man?
Just stuff based on a joke I made or just something. Boo, nothing
just boo.
No, not really stuff like that. They'll just kind of playing along. It's not really heckling. It's more just they're not supposed to necessarily talk, but they're just making a comment about something you're saying.
It's funny. You see a comic on stage, and then sometimes you don't hear the heckler, but he does. Mm-hmm. Like if you're watching it on YouTube or something like that, and it's almost like they need to give the heckler a mic.
Because it's so disruptive to you as a performer, because you just hear this. You're trying to perform this thing and be funny and have good timing, and also at the same time think in your head, what joke should I do next? And then if you have any sort of ADD or you're distracted, you're looking around at the audience, you're looking at different people, you're seeing so you're thinking about so many things at the same time. So when a heckler's talking to you, the people around them hear it, and that disturbs at least a pocket of people, and it just kind of ruins the flow a bit. So
screws with the vibe, eh?
Yeah.
Where'd you grow up, man?
I grew up in Ottawa. I was born in Toronto, but I moved there I think when I was 2, and I grew up there, and I moved back here when I was 18. So spent a lot of time in Ottawa.
In Ottawa?
Yeah.
What's that like?
I want to say horrible, but that's not the best. It's not the best way to describe it. It was fun being young there, I guess. Okay, but once you get to a certain age, you're like, this is boring. It's
I was in Ottawa a couple months ago for a conference, and it was dead, dude.
That's the thing.
Even the downtown area where the Parliament buildings are, there's a bar area there, but on a Tuesday night, it's it's only
there's
Friday.
nothing. Yeah, that's the thing you don't realize until you move to Toronto. There's something going on Monday, Tuesday,
You can
Wednesday,
strike
Thursday.
sparks every night of the week in Toronto, man.
Like here on Mondays, people got, you got the servers and all those bartender people, they go out. Tuesdays, there's like same thing. I think that my favorite night to go out is a Thursday, actually, now. It's becoming Thursday. It's not as crazy, and it's pretty vibing. Like, there's a lot of people out on Thursday in the summer.
You know what's funny is like Ottawa's like a really big Uxbridge.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just like weird. It's like all suburbs.
And nobody lives in Ottawa, actually, in the downtown.
Yeah,
nobody lives there.
Just poor people live downtown. Not poor people, but just like people, like regular people like me. I would live downtown, like, just renters. And then that's a weird thing. That's the only city where it's not cool to live downtown. Like,
so you moved here when you were 18. Did you come here alone, man?
Yeah. I only knew one person in the city, and she was going to school here, and that was it. Like, I just moved down. I went to Humber College. They had a comedy writing and performance program there, a 2-year program.
Did you know you wanted to do comedy before you took that, or is it just like I took a flyer on it? Had you performed before you went to Humber?
Yeah, I already did. I did stand up for like maybe almost a year before that, but again, it was Ottawa, so I think at the time there was only 2 comedy clubs, and you could get on an amateur night once a month at each if you're lucky. So that means maximum you could probably do 2 sets a month if you're lucky. So maybe in my first year of comedy, I did comedy 7, 10 times, very maximum. So then I heard about this. I was at a concert with a friend. She's like, oh, I ran into my friend Evan. He's from Toronto. He's going to a comedy college. You should talk to him. He does stand-up too. And I'm like, comedy college. Okay, that's stupid. Like, I'll confirm it is stupid. It is stupid. Save your money. But I will say this, that I'm very happy for it. But I shouldn't even have said their name. I didn't want to give them a shout-out, the college. But anyways.
Hey, dude, it's your education. You're
know.
allowed to say what you want.
Yeah, I know. But anyway, so I was at a concert with my friend, and she's like, yeah, you should meet my friend. So I talked to him. He told me about this college. I thought it was called Hamburger College. I literally thought he said, I Googled Hamburger College the next day. That's when you see comedy, you wouldn't be surprised if it's called Hamburger College. It doesn't. That's how legit it is, right? Hamburger. Sure. It might as well be Hamburger College.
Hamburger College.
So I went to Hamburger College to audition. Let's call it Hamburger College for the rest of this.
Done. I'm with you, man. Well, you know what we'll do when we do it after, when we produce a show, I'll be like, I went to Beep College. And then the rest of the show we'll call Hamburger College.
There's probably only one comedy writing and performance scam program in all of the country, but I'm giving it.
I went to Cheeseburger College. I had a poutine there.
It was cool though. Like, I ended up going to audition, and you just had to do like a minute of stand up, and I think like an improv scene in front of like, the imperial judges of Humber College, and then Hamburger College. Damn it. Bleep it.
Come on, man.
And then
it's your idea.
I know. Too much going on in my head. But I ended up getting in, and it was cool. Like, I think I would not have moved to Toronto if it wasn't for that school. That's why I'm saying, like, I respect it for that, because
it got you to Toronto.
Yeah, I didn't know anyone. I wouldn't have known how to get an apartment. I still lived with my parents before this. Like, I went straight from.
You'd be cracking jokes in the Home Depot aisle with customers if it wasn't for Hamburger College.
What am I gonna do? Like, I didn't know how. Well, at the time, I guess rent wasn't quite as expensive.
Nothing wrong with the Home Depot aisles either. In Hamburger College, we're good.
Home Depot, I'm cool with Home Depot. I don't know where it is. Where are they at? They're not. They're not. They're maybe in this area. I don't know. But.
So are you full time? With comedy and acting?
Yeah, I don't.
You have no side gig?
No, I don't have another side gig.
So I assume you get paid. I assume you get paid to tell jokes.
Yes, which means that technically I am fully a professional. I am that's my full time. Yeah, I do.
Is there an actors or comics union?
Not for comedians. Acting, yeah.
ACTRA or whatever.
Yeah, ACTRA. Yeah, I'm part of ACTRA. But actually, a friend of mine, Sandra Bandolini, she is trying to start together a comedy union. I'm going to look up the name of the organization to make sure I say it right. But they basically are looking to kind of, like, in Canada, there's kind of a problem where there's no government funding for comedy in any way, which I think is weird, because you go on Netflix, there's comedy, YouTube, the comedy videos have tons of views. There's famous comedians that come out of Canada. Everybody across the country watches it, but there's no, like, if you wanted to take your band on tour, there's tons of funding, so much. But if you want to do comedy,
so the musicians are getting all the money.
Like,
and the comics aren't getting crap.
I mean, musicians aren't getting anything either because there's so many of them. But the ones that do look for it, they are there. Like, there's even comedians that take bands on tour with them to get the funding. Like, if let's say I go on tour and I have a band or a musician open for me, I can apply for this musician grant. Like saying I'm putting on a production that's employing musicians. Then they give me money. Then I could get money for a tour. That's how much you pretty much have to swindle your way into getting a grant if you do comedy. Private companies can, but give you money. Like, I've been sponsored to do a tour by SiriusXM before more than once, but nothing.
You know what I think? I think the government should give people money who are starting podcasts.
Yeah. Well, I'm surprised there isn't. I mean, there should just be a general production thing. Like, we're 2018. People start their own businesses.
Sure.
I mean,
sure.
There should just be a small business. I mean, maybe there is. I really don't know. Like, I spoke like my
The problem with grants. Here's the problem: is who decides who to give it to, who to give it to.
Yeah.
Who decides that?
I don't know how that works, anyways.
Right, and then who checks up and finds out whether you can just pocket the money and you actually went on tour?
Well, I think with those type of things, you for sure have to provide like receipts.
Yeah, that's where it starts to get complicated, though, right? Because it's like,
course.
Hey, Daniel Woodrow is the comedian. Okay, no, hang on a second. We need to make sure that he's got a degree from Humber College before we allow him to go on his comedy tour sponsored by the Canadian government.
I really hope that doesn't happen.
Right? No, but that's what ends up happening with that stuff, right? Everyone's got to go to give all their money to Hamburger College.
Well, I wonder about the bands. I don't know how they do it, but some definitely get money. Like to make, I guess they don't have it anymore, but they used to have them for music videos and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's so tough because it's like, how do you give the money out, and then how do you check to make sure you're not getting ripped off? And then there's more people getting more money that aren't comics than are comics. There's more people getting more money to make sure the comics are actually comics.
Yeah,
and then who gets to decide who's funny and who isn't?
Well, I guess that's where a union could come in.
Maybe a union's right.
Yeah,
an association would be a good answer.
Canadian Association Wait, what is it? I gotta make sure I say it right. It's the Stand-Up Awareness Week. It's the Canadian Association of Stand-Up Comedians. That's pretty obvious.
Canadian Association of Stand-Up Comedians.
So that, and they have been speaking to the Liberal government and different parts of government about
but you haven't formed yet.
Funding.
It hasn't formed yet.
I mean, I would say yes. I don't know what point in a union becomes official. Like, it's not approved. It's not like a government-approved union, but...
Are there members?
Yeah.
Are you a member?
Yeah, I'm a member.
Oh, okay.
So
it's formed.
It's just forming. Like, they're just kind of speaking to the different. It's kind of like I would say I'm unofficially a member. I suppose there's no they don't have membership cards.
They're just getting started.
Numbers. Yeah, they're just really getting started.
You know what? There's a power in association.
This is the first year, so
there's a power of getting like-minded people that do the same thing together.
Yeah.
And having a single voice. It really is powerful, dude. So it's the best thing for you guys to do, for ssure.
It's gonna be
as long as it's not a joke.
Be interesting.
Ha 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 ha.
Oh yeah, true. I'm supposed to be funny. But yeah, I don't know. I run like a monthly comedy show as well, so that's something else. That's on there. Yeah.
So you do that once a month at the Comedy Bar. Which one?
It's called the Comedy Bar. It's just Bloor in Ossington. It's like a independent comedy venue. It's been open almost exactly 10 years now.
Yeah.
And I think I went in there on their first year, and I started putting on a show with my buddy, and I just kept it going every couple of months at first, and now I do it every month. Are
you the host, or are you doing your own show?
Yeah, I'm the host, but I produce it and book the comics and bring the audience and stuff. But I feel like some people headline their own shows and stuff. I think that's weird. I'd rather just host, and be able to write some new jokes and do crowd work, stuff like that.
Yeah.
I got hair in my mouth.
Comedy Bar, Bloor in Ossington, eh? How many people fit in there?
About 100 to 115 people.
Did you say the night that you hosted on?
Yeah, usually it's the first Saturday of the month. Like the next one, I think, which nobody will
Saturday
hear it by then, but it's September 1st, the next one. But it's usually the first Saturday of every month. Yeah. I just had mine.
The problem with going to something like that is there's some comedians that are really that suit you. It's not like one comedian's bad and another's good.
Yeah.
It's that some people like this comedian and other people like that comedian.
Yeah.
And like if you don't know who you're going to see, I remember the comedian my wife took me for Christmas. She took me to see the British guy Michael McIntyre.
Okay.
Do you know that guy?
Yeah, I know that name.
So we're parents.
Mm-hmm.
So Michael McIntyre is a parent, and he tells parent jokes.
Of course, so it's perfect.
Right? Yeah. So the guy's traveling the world talking about, I got a babysitter. It's an iPad. Throw an iPad at a kid. Everybody laughs, right? Because it's funny, because it's true. And then the guy that introduced him was also kind of doing parent jokes as well, like middle 40s crowd parent jokes, right? But if you go to if you bring him into a certain, then you're trying to have another commitment. How do you balance that, man?
Like if you brought him somewhere downtown with a bunch in downtown Toronto,
people wouldn't find it funny, dude.
I try to just go by kind of the neighborhood and what kind of people come to the show. I mean, I usually I try to book a range. Most of the comedians I book are younger, like between the age of 20 and 35, maybe. Okay. Some older. There's older. It's weird with comedians too. You almost don't see their age. It's like when you know them, because you're just like, there's parents and stuff like that. But I just try to put people that are like a little bit, each person's a little bit different, so that the show has a variety. But I think that I just try to stay consistent with the type of people, the type of humor I have on, so that people know like, oh, when I went, the show was really funny. Like, so it's not necessarily about the individual comedians. Like each comedian just does 7 to 10 minutes, and there's 5. Okay. So that way it's like, you don't like one comedian, you could put up with it for 7 minutes. You go to the bathroom or something. So that way it's like, I try to keep it so that most of the time each comedian does well, and I think they're funny. And that way people are just like, oh, I went and that was fun and it was worth the $10 or whatever. Sure. And then let's just go again. So it's like low risk, kind of like, good comedians. And I try to have 2 female comedians on each show, obviously a mixture of comedians, and like maybe 1 or 2 newer. One of them are newer, and then 2 would be really well established, so that there's just a good variety of everyone. Yeah. And then what kind, when you look at when you're performing, you look out at the crowd. Yeah. And you go, ooh, got to change up the routine tonight. Does that ever happen to you? Oh, yeah, all the time. Oh, 100%.
So you just look at the people and you know you can't do A, you got to do B or whatever.
You're going to this, sometimes you're going to a show, they're like, yeah, you're going to Brantford. Let's
got to get a little closer to that mic, man.
Yeah, sorry. Let's just say you're going to Brantford or something like that for a show, and you're in a car on your way there. You don't know what the audience is going to be like. You don't even know what the event is. Sometimes you show up and it's like a drunk hockey dad's thing, and you're like, oh, shit, this is my least favorite kind of, can you swear on this?
Sure, man, sure.
This is my least favorite type of people, or it'll be really old people or sometimes. You don't know
it's so terrifying, dude.
Oh, yeah. I've had to do a show where I look at the audience and everybody in the audience had white hair except for one person. Every single person was old, not just white hair. I'm talking about 70s and up.
Yeah, sure.
I was like,
okay, if you said to me, okay, Michael, here's the deal. You either go on that stage and do stand up for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Or get in the octagon and fight that MMA fighter. I'm not sure which one I'm gonna pick, dude.
Really?
Yeah, man. I might rather get my ass kicked.
I would definitely take mental torment over having my arms and limbs broken, but I don't know.
It's terrifying, dude. To get up there and make people laugh.
It is scary every time. I'm still scared. There's some shows where I'm like, why am I nervous? It's the most random little show, and I'll be nervous. That never goes away. But I think that the reason why I started doing comedy is for that reason, because it's that scary. I guess we'll get into it. I was homeschooled as a kid, whatever. I was until grade 7. So I was really socially awkward. I didn't have a lot of friends and stuff like that. Didn't really know how to be funny or talk to people. And then when I started going to actual high school, I remember a few times I make people laugh, mostly from being mean kind of thing.
Or being nervous, man.
Yeah, but then I remember one time where I made a bunch of people laugh. I think it's when you have your spare period.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, and they're like, oh, you should try doing stand-up sometime. I think that was the first time someone said that to me. But I felt like it was just a way for me to go, I feel socially awkward around people a lot of times. And I feel uncomfortable, so just doing stand-up is the most extreme version of that.
But I think you're also in control in a way.
Yeah, you
get to do the talking.
If you're Yeah, but not at a certain point, at a certain level. When you first start, you don't have any control. If you're bombing, you're like, I don't know how to do crowd work or get my way out of this or like use some charm or wit. You're just like, dude,
I would tell you.
And they're like, oh, boo, and you're like, hey, like you're not in control of that.
People are nasty too, I bet, eh?
There's definitely some shows where it's like, there's this show I used to do, this all black show. I still do it, but it used to be a lot more
like
rough.
all black comedians or all black?
It's just
audience?
called, like literally, it's at Yucca. It's called the Nubian Show. Like it's
Okay.
literally like usually it's all black comedians, but there's like they have white comedians, other comedians on it too, and the audience is majority of the audience is black. Like I would say sometimes it's like a 50-50 split, but most of the time I'd say it's like 80% black people. You know, the rest is white people.
Is there black humor and white humor?
Oh, for sure. But in Canada, it's a bit different because we're all just mixed together.
Yeah, Toronto's a different vibe. But if you go to St. Louis, Missouri.
Yeah, definitely. But I also found when I was in the States that white people have a black joke, and black people have a white joke. Like, I felt like the set wasn't complete unless someone's like, do you ever notice black people do this? Like, I swear every comedian in the States is like, I'm like, what is this?
Like, white people do that?
Yeah. And the black people go, do you ever notice white people do this? Like, it was a weird thing. Like, I felt like a set wasn't complete unless someone did a joke about another race. Yeah, like in the States. Yeah.
You know what? I always wonder, like, I always think that, okay, so I'm a free speech believer.
Okay,
but
me too.
I think comedians should have extra free speech.
I agree. And it seems to not be going that way.
Yes.
Like, it depends. I think there's still consequences for what you say. You can't avoid that, you know.
But the consequences should all be social.
Yeah.
They shouldn't be legal.
I agree, depending. I mean, I guess there's limits. Like, you can't.
I don't know. They like, even the court jester in the Middle Ages.
Mm-hmm. Did you hear about that one comedian that got sued in Montreal, Mike Ward?
No.
He got.
I heard about the guys in BC. I think there was some stuff.
One guy, because he did a joke about this French kid that sang for the Pope, right? And he would name him by name, the kid's name. And like, oh, sorry. I don't know why my phone vibrated. So he named the kid by name, right, on the thing. So in the joke, it was on TV, stuff like that. The kid got bullied at school and all this. And now, like 10, 15 years later, him and his mom are suing him for like mental torment. So that's a little bit extreme, but he won. That's what I mean. The guy owes him $70,000. But
the kid won over the comedian?
Yeah, the kid won. No, you can look it up. It's the guy, because the guy is a French comedian, French-English comedian. But in Quebec, they have the French comedians get really, really, really popular. Like if you go to his Facebook, he has like 600,000 followers or something.
That's a lot for a Canadian.
Yeah. So I think there's that social pressure. In my opinion, you should be able to say whatever you want, but I could also understand where you could get taken to court. Maybe you shouldn't have named him by first and last name on a TV special.
I don't know what to say to that. I will leave that one for the judges because that's a little more sensitive.
But like
it's involving an individual person and their name.
And the kid was like he was
child,
like also like handicapped as well, or disabled as well.
Yeah, but there's an argument that everyone that laughs should also be. Also participating in it as well. But I mean, I
suppose, yeah.
You know, it's like, I mean, you know, comedy is like to me when I look at comedians and you hear, like, you listen to a black comedian or a white comedian or Michael McIntyre talking about being a parent, and he's talking about like using an iPad as a ninja star to kill your kids. You know, shut up.
Yeah,
it's funny.
Yeah, I think
right. It's like a release valve, dude.
I think that it's so weird because times are changing now, but I still think people should be able to say whatever they want, but there might be consequences to what you say. Like, that's just the world. You go out in the street, sure. You could go punch 3 or 4 people, eventually one of them will punch you back. You know what
punching is different.
Like, I'm just saying, like, you can literally do whatever you want at any time. You have the freedom to do that.
Sure.
But there's consequences.
Your freedom might be temporary.
Right, and that's the same thing I think with speech, is that you can say whatever you want. Go ahead. You know, but there might be consequences.
You know what's funny, Daniel?
We can't control that.
I'll tell you this. So I've interviewed on my lighting show like 60 people, and then for this maybe 20, 25, something like that, okay? And oftentimes we'll do an intense podcast, and a lot of stuff will come out, and we'll be really deep. And then we'll turn off the mics, and a different person emerges.
Yeah.
A completely different person. right? So it's almost like, well, if I'm being recorded, I'll say this.
Right.
If I'm around black people, I'll talk like this. If I'm around these people, young people, I'll talk like this. If I'm around children, I talk like this. So I feel like we're kind of like these chameleons that change based on circumstances, and we know when to change and when not to change.
Of course.
But I think comedians, other than that name, it's the kid's name, other than that, I think comedians should be given a free ride to say whatever they want.
Like, I think that the point of comedians is that, like, they're the
release valve. It's like a pressure valve.
They're like the modern day, in a way, some are modern day thinkers, you know? Like, a lot of the stuff comedians say really do make you go, yeah, I never thought about that. Or the way, like, Cat Williams talks about race, or Dave Chappelle talks about certain things, or something like that. Like, you know, those comedians, or Bill Burr is good for that too. Like, he takes a really edgy way at making you look at something and go, you know what? Like, I really didn't want to listen to what the way you're saying it. Like, he's saying it in an offensive way that triggers you, but he's got a point most of the time. So
it's a way of making hostile things or controversial ideas acceptable or something. If it's funny, like, it's like things are only funny if they're true, right? Or if there's some truth to it or something's real about it. And that it also, humor has to be out there. It has to be in the outside world. So you're right. A lot of humor is dark philosophy represented in a funny way.
Well, yeah, I think you can't say things so directly that it won't make sense. But if you make people go, oh, I'm offended, and they go, why am I offended? And they go, oh, it's the way he phrased it or something, is like, I think that's another way of making people think. For my comedy, I'm more like kind of neutral, a little bit on the edgy side, but I just talk about everyday things. Maybe race is like the edgiest I am, or when people go, oh, like they feel a little bit uncomfortable. Because I know that the majority of my audiences in Canada will be white, and I'm not trying to make anyone uncomfortable, but I like playing with it a little bit.
Sure.
Like, there's white guilt is a thing, and I like, you know,
come on, give me a
tapping on it
guilt.
just a tiny bit, you know, like just like it's fun to just make people go, oh, fuck it, like, you know what I mean? That's. But like, I don't go out there and say like outrageous things to make people go, like, that's not my style. So I don't worry about the free speech thing too much. But I do think that it's getting to a point where people aren't really listening to the message. They just hear the physical, like the actual words, like they're written out individually. You know, they'll hear one word and go, oh no, that's a word we don't talk about that.
Sure. And
then they shut off, but they don't realize that maybe the joke is actually empowering that. You know, I think it's all about victimization.
Or maybe it's dismantling a little bit to shed some light on it that it shouldn't be taken so seriously. That's another thing.
There is, exactly. Like, there's different ways to use comedy, and I think that people are getting a little bit sensitive right now, but it's for other reasons. It's not because of comedians. It's like women walk down the street and men yell things at them all the time, and we're starting to realize this happens. So, you know, people are all over the place for being conscious about what we say, or people being very aware of it. So I think that, you know, it'll be redirected and put into the right places. I think comedians, it's very important that we're not politicians.
Yeah,
so I don't know, like, you know what I mean? I don't understand why, like, athletes
you can walk out of the room.
Yeah.
I mean, you can walk out of the room. It's a performance. If you don't like it, you can leave.
Yeah. Rappers aren't getting sued
ask
for raps. Like, I don't understand what's happening right now. They go on stage, they say crazy shit. Like, I don't understand.
Yeah, because the reality is that the court jester is a very powerful person in the court, actually.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. In my opinion, that means that there is people see that comedians have a voice that is valued, because they wouldn't be like, oh, you shouldn't be talking about that. That means there's importance to what you're saying. Right?
Yeah, and in fact, maybe you need to speak louder about it.
If a crazy person's talking on the street, you don't tell them, don't say that.
Yeah, for sure.
You just let them go, right?
Yeah, it's because comedy's important, dude. It's actually very important, because it's a way, like I said, it's a way to release pressure in our society, right? It's like people want to laugh at things that are taken so seriously. You know, like I can't remember who it was, but I heard this comedy bit about the who's the guy that went from he was Olympic, and he's got the Jenner family. What's his name? Caitlyn Jenner, or her name, Caitlyn Jenner. Yeah. And there was this guy was making jokes about her or him, and it was hilarious. I was laughing my head off, and then it turned out there was a big controversy about that. I thought it was funny,
but it's because of probably the time that it's happening is like before.
But that's when it's funny.
A lot of gender rights weren't really taken into consideration by the general public, and I think that the timing of that, it's funny maybe to you, to some other people, But I think that there's also probably a lot of people that didn't find it funny. I
think a lot of people did find it funny.
Yeah.
But again, I think what they do is they take those things out of context.
I don't know which joke. Like I don't know.
I can't remember it all. I just remember that
really.
I heard the bit and I thought it was funny, and then someone said this is outrageous, and I was actually laughing at the bit.
I think it's about timing. Like what, and potentially that joke was made to make people upset. If you think
for
about
sure,
it, right? So,
for sure, and maybe those people need to be made upset a little bit. I mean, that's the issue. That's what comedy's for sometimes.
Again, I don't know the joke, but I mean, sometimes that is the thing. The whole point is you make something to make people upset, but I don't know. I think that's a touch. Like I wouldn't talk about like trans rights in a joke right now. Like that's not my style. Like that's what I'm.
Now?
I mean, I wouldn't. I can't say. I say right now because I don't know about it in the future. But if I did make a joke about trans people, it would probably be in their favor. I don't see why you would victimize it.
I don't think it was victimizing any of that.
I don't know. I'm assuming that that's why people are upset.
Yeah.
But
But I think it was. I
wouldn't victimize an already victimized
It was a play
group.
on him or her. That's what it was.
Yeah. Right.
And that's the thing. And I didn't think it was that serious, but people were really outraged by it.
Yeah.
But I felt like the problem is this is a new issue. A lot of people don't know about it. Okay. And comedy is a way of spreading a message about something, actually, and making people aware of something. Yeah. And making it available to the masses. And then after that, maybe it settles in, and then we come to as a society, we come to a conclusion about, how we're going to speak about certain things. I think comedy has a role in that, dude.
Well, I think it's also a good way to disarmingly talk about something that's hard to talk about.
Yes.
Yeah. And I feel like I'm getting to that point. Like I don't know exactly what I want to speak about. Now I'm more talking about just like the lighter things in life, kind of like,
for sure.
The things that piss me off are like, why don't we know anything about the ocean? Like I'll make a joke about that, or why is there a Tesla in outer space? Like stuff like that doesn't make sense to me. That pisses me off.
It does kind of piss me off.
Yeah, it's so stupid. Why don't we just go down and check out the ocean? Like we don't know anything. There could be aliens literally there right now. We never even we
know more about the moon than the ocean.
Yeah, we know more about everything than the ocean. Like we know about 1% of the ocean. That makes me really weird. Like if we didn't know about anything outside this place, if all of a sudden we only knew about 1% of what's outside of this building, we wouldn't leave. Like I don't know why. So just stuff like that. It's funny. So
what was your job before you made the leap to full-time comedy?
I actually worked with Matt for a year.
Come on, Matt.
So I'm sure you actually already know. But it was like a media company. They had like a couple sites, a couple dating sites, some porn sites. It was a real spectacular of a job. It was I didn't have any qualifications to work in any sort of salary office job, so I got one mostly from being cool and getting along with everyone. But yeah, that was my last day job. It was just at a computer, 9 to 5, boring stuff.
Cool.
Yeah. So it was I got laid off. I don't know. They just pretty much, after they let me go, I think 50% of the office got let go maybe a couple weeks later. So
do you look into the future, and as a comic, are you going, how am I going to pull this off for the next 35 years?
Every day, dude. When don't I do that? I'm doing that right now in my head. What are you talking about? I have anxiety.
Ooh, I got to make people laugh for 35 years.
It's not that. It's not making people laugh. I know I can make people laugh. It's how am I making money from this? You know what I mean? The first few years of being self-employed, I'm like, wow, I wish in a dream. I'm getting lucky. You know what I mean? And then after maybe 3 years or something, I'm like, okay. But you're just then I realized, yeah, I can survive. I'm paying rent, groceries, all that, bills. But I want to own property. That's different when you're a comedian than if you have a 9 to 5 job with a salary and you go, here's my assets and all that. So everything I'm going to do is pretty much going to have to be cash or loan. So getting to the next level is always on my mind for sure. 100%.
How far away from the next level are you?
It's really hard to say. It's it could be one of those things that one day,
what is
5 years.
What's the next level for? What is it, a special on Netflix or something like that? What would be the next level?
Because I don't see what I do as just stand-up. I do acting as well, running a show, stuff like that. With the acting thing, lately I've been going out for lead roles for TV shows and stuff like that, and good roles, actual real stuff. So, it's as simple as booking one of those, which could happen next week, or week after like that, and then all of a sudden I have a bunch of money that I can use.
And the show takes off.
Do other, or like even just the payment from that I can use for other things. Like, you know, there's so many ways to become successful, like that I'm not super worried, but I think that I've always wanted to be an actor since I was a kid.
Okay.
But stand-up is my love. I don't know if that makes sense, but I wouldn't be able to. I could always do both, but I think that I love acting, and I think that would be something I'd love to do, but the feeling I get from stand-up is way more. But I think that...
What's the feeling like after you leave and the crowd's just slapping their knees and bending over laughing? What does it feel like? It's like a rush, or is it...
It's like hitting a home run every time you get... Like, I don't know how to... I don't even know... There's no other feeling because you're so extremely anxious before you do it, and then it just goes away, and I feel like I'm in another world. When I'm having a good set, I don't know. Like, I'm almost watching myself from an outside. Like, I don't know...
That's the flow state. That's the flow state.
It's like you're in your element. You know when you see a musician and you're like, they're in their element. Sure. Then you see someone else and you're like, they're performing. Yeah. Like when you see a musician, that's like when you're in that zone, there's no better feeling than that. I don't know what it is. It's not about, it's not what I'm getting from people. It's what I feel like I'm giving out. It's so weird. I don't know. It's just this like weird, it's such a weird situation. You're alone on stage with one light, one mic, and that's it. Like no backup, no friends to help you.
And the set is 10 minutes, the set is 20 minutes,
Sometimes 30 minutes. I've performed for an hour. I've done an hour and 15 minutes before. I think I've done like an hour and almost an hour. I think I did the longest is maybe an hour and 20 minutes. Like it's just like another, when it gets to that point, you're like, you're talking about shit that came up. Dude. Yeah, you're making up jokes on the spot and all this stuff. But that feeling when you get off stage is like, you know, hitting a home run, just having an orgasm, and like eating your favorite food at the same time. Like I don't know.
Is that why a lot of comics have substance abuse problems? Because they're trying to chase that high that they get from comic and they can't get it all the time? Because I know there's something about comics, they seem to do more drugs.
I think...
Is that true?
I think comics...
Maybe I'm
wrong. No, I agree. I agree. I think comics have substance abuse problems because they have substance abuse problems, and I think that's what makes it... Like, I think that the same things that give you substance abuse problems make you a comedian. Like, I don't know how to explain it, but it's like, comedians aren't normal people. You don't just go have an easy life and, you know, you live in a nice... big house and your family gives you everything you want, and then you go to college and you have everything you want, and then necessarily become a comedian. I think
there's a darkness in comedians.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And the more you know comedians, you're like, I would never hang out with you if you weren't a comedian. I wouldn't trust you. Like for some reason, it's just like, for me, it's just like, it comes from, I wouldn't say a darkness, but maybe like you're obviously needing something. Like it's a psychotic thing to do. It's people's worst fear.
It's crazy.
It's like skydiving all the time for no reason. Like it's just like, oh, here's something that's extreme, let's do it. But
no, but think about it. Like what's one of the hardest things to do is to genuinely make people laugh, right? So what you do is you say, I'm going to get in front of a whole bunch of people and try to make them laugh all the time.
And imagine when it makes sense now. But when you first start, you're like, why?
No, it doesn't make sense to me at all, dude.
Yeah, like I don't get it. Why do people like this? It's weird.
But I can see how it's like there's like a cycle, an emotional cycle to it. You know, where it's like
very much. I feel fulfilled and energized after
boom,
a set.
you go out there, you're like, and that's why you see like and you can tell the difference too between something like you take a Jerry Seinfeld, right, and you know he's a rehearsed, practiced guy,
yeah,
and then you get one of those wild guys that comes out, he's rolling in hot,
and you're like, oh, what is he gonna say? I don't know.
Yeah, he doesn't even know what he's gonna say sometimes.
Sometimes people are really good at taking that and doing it the same every time, but making it feel like it's crazy. When I've seen there's comedian Jason Rouse. I don't know if you know who he is, but he's like this big metal guy. He wears like sometimes eyeliner and just like earrings everywhere and like silver grills, and he just seems like a really like intense guy. And he does like really a lot of crowd work and gets people to say something, and then he has a bit for it. And when I first saw him, I'm like, this is insane. He's making everything on the spot. And then the second time I saw him, I'm like, oh, wow, he gets that reaction of the audience so that he can lead to his joke.
He's in control.
He's so good that he knows how to say something, to get someone to say something to lead into his next joke. And it feels fresh to people that have seen it.
Does the crowd feed off you, or do you feed off the crowd, or is it like a two-way thing, man? Like, is it like, are you both giving to each other in a way?
I think it's a three-way thing. I think the crowd feeds off each other, and like it goes all ways, because I've noticed like if there's And comedians have this problem a lot. Let's say there's one table not laughing. You're putting all your attention on how to make that table laugh. For some reason, your mind is just like, I'm not achieving 100% right
You know,
now.
it's funny. You ever, high school, did you ever read the Robertson Davies books?
Which
What's Bred in the Bone? And,
no,
what's the other one?
I felt like the only book I remember is To Kill a Mockingbird and like a couple others, but I don't remember.
The other one is Matt. Can you look up the Robertson Davies books?
Yeah.
Anyway, he has like he becomes one of the guys in this Fifth Business. It's called Fifth Business, and then the
I don't remember that.
Yeah, that's a very popular Canadian book. Anyway, the kid that one of the things is he ends up running away with the circus.
Yeah.
Okay, and becomes like a performer, and he does like stage work and serious and comedy, and then as an act in a circus. And one of the things you kind of get an inside view of how a circus works, right? And they have people that travel with them that are a clack. And they're people that sit in the crowd.
Oh, and just like
trained
amp
to
up the crowd.
laugh and trained to clap at the right time and this sort of thing. And so like what'll happen is the performer will go up there and they'll spread them out through the crowd, and all of a sudden someone will, that's hilarious. Or like the fiddler will come out and a couple people will get up and start dancing, and then everybody starts to get up because no one wants to be the first one to dance.
Yeah. And I think that's 100% true in so many situations. Like with the audience, like if some people are being weird, then other people around them are like being more weird, or like it's like this weird vibe. Like it goes, if it's like rarely that I ever have a half good audience. It's like I always say I had a bad audience or I had a good audience. I never feel like half of them are good. So I see an audience almost like as the same way you see sand on a beach. Like it looks like, until you look closely, it looks like one thing, you know, one solid object, but like it kind of like all flows together, including me. If my energy isn't 100%, they're not going to give me 100%, and it's just like that back and forth. So I think that's the magic of stand-up comedy, that there's no instruments, nothing. It's just a voice. Like technically, you don't even need a mic or lights. Like I've done shows on a patio with like 30 people and no mic, and that's like a weirdest, rawest thing. It's so strange.
Well, you know what's weird? When I was watching, I don't think it's just a voice. I think it's also, I was watching it on YouTube, and you have these poses you make.
Yeah, my movements are so, I don't do it on purpose.
Dude, it's so,
I'm weird.
Like you do these poses and shit. I'm like, what is he doing?
Yeah, it's so funny.
It's like there's like a physicality to you. Like you're being more awkward than you want, or something. You got this like shoulder.
This is my inside dying. Like, you know what I mean? Like I'm cool on the outside, but inside my body's like, fuck, like trying to keep it together. I don't know. Like, it's so funny. Whenever I do auditions, people are always laughing. They're like, your movements are so funny. I'm like, I'm not trying to be funny.
Yeah,
like, I don't know what I'm doing.
What you're saying and how you're posing your body is part of the joke, dude.
Yeah,
for sure.
I agree.
Your head is over to the side like this. I can't even. I'm not even
because
trying to
I'm very like, I talk like this on stage. Like even this is more enthusiasm than I normally talk.
Yeah,
on
you're
stage.
kind of slow your syllables down a little bit
because it's like just, I guess there is visual, but I feel like for an audio situation you have to talk a bit different. But yeah, I like to talk slow like this kind of, and just get people, because I find it almost hypnotizes people in a way.
You have an interesting voice too. I don't know if it's deep or not or whatever.
I know it's
don't
weird,
even know
right?
what it is.
I know. I hate it. I actually hate my own voice. I'm just starting to get used to it, but it has like a weird. Yeah, it has like both high and
you
low.
go from like hypnotic monotone to like this when you're talking. It's interesting, dude.
That's my favorite thing to do during stand-up. I talk mellow, really slow for a long time, and then all of a sudden I get mad, like, and then I don't, and then people are like, whoa, like, you know,
like you're hypnotizing and then blasting them out of it, or maybe you're hypnotizing them and keeping them hypnotized. I don't know, dude. But there's something to the cadence and the body thing and that you're doing that's part of the party. It's not just the voice, dude.
Thanks. I saw this comedian once, Gerard Carmichael, and he's like even more mellow than I am on stage, but I noticed that when he talks so quiet, and I was in the audience during one of the shows, and everyone's sitting, leaning forward, like thinking as hard as they can, like fully concentrated, because it's hard to, like, you know, you don't want to miss anything, or he's not talking loud. And I found there was this weird reverse, like when the high energy person, they claim the room, but there's like in a reverse too, where this low energy person can also claim a room, where people are like, what is this stoicism, or I don't know.
Yeah, but you know what? It's also, I think it's in their eyesight, their way they look out at the crowd. Yeah, and whether they're dilating their pupils, how they're moving. There's like something to it. There, I remember Michael McIntyre just owned this crowd of parents. It was all parents and grandparents. Yeah, and the way he moved, like I don't want to say it, like just like a fat white dude. You know what I mean? Like a middle-aged fat white guy wearing a suit. Yeah, you look
Makes
good
him
tonight.
relatable.
Yeah, it's kind of like he's going around, he's sticking his gut out sometimes. You can see he was literally doing it
on purpose.
Yeah, and the way he had these like little steps this, and it's like part of the act.
He knows what he knows that he's doing that on purpose, I'm pretty sure. I think the thing with comedy, it's changing. It used to be like you never really talk. Okay, like a producer told me once, like when you're writing a script, you never write about, let's say you're writing a sitcom, you'll never see a sitcom about a poor family. They're always rich, or they always have at least more than a middle. They're usually
upper middle class.
Yeah, upper middle class. Because
or like, upwardly mobile anyway.
You know, you
like
go
the Huxtables.
Yeah, and like
I love that show.
What's
man.
the point?
Why did you have to be such a creep, dude?
I love
that
I can't even
show.
go back and watch it now because I'm
it's
just
so
like weird, and the kid's sitting on his lap, and I can't. It's weird. It's too. Man. He ruined everything.
I have all the DVDs from the Cosby Show. The whole thing. I used to watch it with my kids, like whatever, before he got all weird. And then when he first got weird, I was like, nah, Kaz didn't do it. Don't worry, kids, watch it. And now it's like, oh, man, Bill, dude.
But do you remember Kids Say the Darnest Things? He had this
that was the best. Jello pudding pops,
yeah, but
man.
It makes me cringe so much knowing he's a creep now. Like, dude. You know, like who has a show where they just ask kids questions? It's weird. Like, you know.
And then Jello pudding pops? Remember that?
Yeah, I remember
Jello pudding pops.
He's a weird, like, it sucked because he was just like watching his stand-up when I first started was kind of, I think he's the first stand-up I've ever seen. I think I think it's stand-up.
How old are you?
Well, I'm 31, so I look younger than I am. But I think like I
wouldn't say you look younger. I have no idea how old you are.
Okay, good.
Put it that way.
Okay, perfect. You could say younger, but a lot of like I think I rented his VHS from the library when I was a kid or something. Sure. I never watched a lot of stand-up before I started. I think the only 3 comedians I really watched, this is embarrassing to say, was. Well, not really, but Jim Gaffigan, who's a really funny, mellow guy, like bald white guy, talks about food a lot. He just does this weird thing where he's like, talks as the audience perspective. Like he'll do a joke and he's like, oh, they didn't like that one. Oh man,
I like it when they do
like
that.
He does. That kid, like he's like the first person I saw do that. And then I really like Dane Cook.
Is he the one that does the bacon one?
Yeah.
That's
the bacon. The Hot Pockets.
Yes, I've heard that guy. Yes, the bacon. He's like, okay, I'm gonna keep going with this bacon. I love bacon.
Yeah.
He's really. What it is about that? It's like, shut up about bacon, but you keep laughing.
It's like a 15-minute joke about one food, and you're like, what is going on? But like,
why am I laughing at this?
But I remember I wrote him on MySpace before I first said, I was just like, I don't know, I just didn't know how the social media worked, but I was just like, I'm starting out comedy. Do you have any tips or suggestions? Like, I really like your material. And he actually wrote me back, which I thought was amazing.
That's cool.
I can't find the account. I really wanted to like try to get into my account to find that message from Jim Gaffigan because I thought that would be really cool.
Frame it or something, man.
Yeah, because like now I've almost been doing comedy for 10 years now, so it's like...
And he was part of that first jump.
Well, I mean, it was really cool to see a comedian that you're seeing on TV, like, message you back. Sure. Like, I always was that kid that... Not always, but I wrote, like, a few, like, athletes or something when I was a kid. You know, that was a popular thing to do in the 90s. Cereal boxes always had these contests. Yeah. So that was like the first person that I think wrote me back.
That's the power of social media.
And that's exactly when social media started. And so that's like probably why he replied. He probably doesn't get a lot of messages.
100 friends.
yeah, exactly. So I was just like, oh man, this is cool. Like, you know, I think that's really awesome. But
yeah,
that was a little tangent there.
That's okay. I don't mind those tangents, man. How do you get acting gigs, man?
I have an agent. So she helps out.
She helps out. She said, "I got this really comedian guy."
Well, yeah, I guess so. Oh, she's cool. Like her whole agency is just comedians. Like,
so like if she's looking for a part for you, what kind of part would you be looking for?
Like I go out for a lot of TV commercials, which that means I'm just like the random cool black guy in a group of friends. But when I go for TV roles, I don't know. I think it's weird because lately I've been going out for a lot of serious roles. I would totally see you as a dark, serious guy, dude. Totally, man. I was gonna say. I think my dream role would play like a really dark, like uneasy, like creepy guy.
Yeah, you could totally do it, dude. I mean, like it's the eyes and that monotone
and
voice,
the stillness. Yeah.
Yeah, but without the humor.
Yeah.
And then no comedy.
Yeah. I want to say, I don't know. Like, there's so many things. I don't know if I can tell you stories about auditions because I don't know what I can say. Like, some of the stuff isn't out yet or even been announced. I think this one.
Well, just make it up.
I think this one's been announced.
Just make it up.
Yeah, I'll make it up. So let's say hypothetically they're coming out with a Pet Sematary remake. I think that actually I saw that on online that it has been announced. But I went out for like the guy that have you seen Pet Cemetery?
I remember like early '90s Pet Cemetery.
Yeah. So they're remaking it, but the Victor Pascal, like the guy who
that movie scared the
zombie
crap
guy
out
that
of me, by the way.
the scary guy that follows him everywhere. I auditioned to be that guy, the like creepy guy that's just like
you could be like a weird grave digger.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, but I do go out for like comedic roles as well.
Sure,
but
of course, yeah.
which like I mean, I did a thing. There's a show called The Beaverton, which is like a satirical. It's like The Onion's TV show, like a Canadian version of The Onion.
Okay.
And I did like a few episodes of that, I think last year, the year before. That was really fun. That was on CTV, and I had played like this guy that they were making fun of like these Vice documentaries, the food ones, and there's this guy that opened a restaurant using all like garbage foods, like just foods he found in a dumpster, and he opens a restaurant, and I played that guy. And I had like these long blonde dreads, and it was really funny. And then another one where he owned the biggest factory farm in the world or something like that, like so big that it bled the waters so it was just like this weird character.
You ever been to a factory farm, man?
No, I don't think I think that would be the day I don't eat meat anymore.
Okay, so because I'm in the lighting business, you get to go to see a lot of places because everything has lighting, right?
Oh, you must see the most wild places.
Dude, I'll tell you this. You know what the biggest one is? Like natural resources extraction.
Really?
Like coal mines and stuff like that?
Yeah, so you have to go down there.
No, it's an open pit.
Oh,
and then they have like a crusher, and like you see the big pit, and then they bring the coal in and they crush it all up. That's crazy, dude. Whoa. That's like Mordor, dude.
That's pretty cool.
It's crazy.
What did they crush?
Okay.
What is
so
it?
What
just
happens
a giant
is
machine?
junk rocks come in, and then they turn this machine on as
like
the rocks.
Are they big?
Yeah, I didn't see all the rocks. I couldn't see. It's like a conveyor belt, right? So I don't know if they're this big or this
like
big.
Okay, yeah, right.
Okay,
right.
but it's
but
like
they're
rocks.
rocks. Yeah,
and they go into this crusher, okay, and inside the coal is lots of water. So
what?
Yeah. Huh. So all of a sudden when it starts to crush the rocks, the whole building starts going like this, and like imagine like a railing going like back and forth a foot each way.
The whole building's like
it's going like this, and then you're down there in these hip waders, right? And the whole thing's filling up with water because there's so much water coming out of it. What? And it's like. Right?
And you like, what's going on here?
Yeah, it's like, wow. She goes, we need the lights to be able to survive this. I'm like.
So they bring you down there and just like
I'm in.
You're like, why am I here?
You're here to light up hell.
So what do they use to light it when you were
there's
there?
like explosion-proof light fixtures. Yeah, but they use a lot of energy.
What did they have before you were there?
That's what they have. Is these explosion-proof, like hardcore light fixtures.
Like bomb shelter.
Yeah,
lights.
but they use tons of energy, right?
Right.
So they're saying, but I'm like, at that time, this is like 2014, 13. I'm like, dude, there's nothing out there for you, man. You're on your own here with this.
Is there something now?
Yeah, there is something now. Wow. Yeah, there'll be something now for them, for sure. But it would have to be like you're talking spring-loaded, and it keeps itself steady. And, because the new lighting's electronic, right?
So could it be on like a gyroscope type system? Like,
no, it's not. It's not like that.
Cam?
No, it's just something. Probably has like some. The system would have like it'd be a mine. It'd be a mine or natural resources extraction type light fixture. It would have some sort of shock mechanism.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Wow.
So like these microphones.
Right.
Have.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Right. Something like that, but really a lot stronger. And see, like if we pound on here, you can't hear it, right? But before it had that, it would go right up, right? Oh. So yeah, you get in there, and then what happens is the water drains out, and all this water just drains into the river.
That's great. So each rock had so much
water. You're sitting there. I'm like, is this water going to stop, dude? He's like, yeah, we'll turn it off when it gets to about our hips.
Because I guess coal is like hardened oil, like old oil. Like I actually don't. Or is it carbon? Is it crushed rock? I actually don't know what.
You know what? There's this weird theory, and now we're going down a rabbit hole. Here.
I love
ready?
it.
Ready
yeah,
for it?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm down. First rabbit hole.
So there's like something that I read, and hey. Okay, I am not a scientist.
I always say that too.
I don't know shit.
I always say that too.
I don't know shit. Okay? But here's it. So there's this Russian scientist that believes that oil and coal are actually made by the earth.
Instead of it being
crushed carbon, like fossil fuels, like forests or whatever. Actually, the theory was.
What's the difference?
Is that it's what it comes from is plate tectonics. So the plates push over top of each other, and there's something that happens during that scraping that creates oil.
Like squishes something.
Yeah, and the oil lubricates it. The oil lubricates plate tectonics.
Well, something would have to lubricate it, I guess.
I don't know, man. Maybe it's just I can't remember where I heard that or how it came out, and that they're questioning whether it's fossil fuels. You know what's like weird? So here I'm on the rabbit hole. So here's what's weird. Okay, remember I'm 10 years older than you, but you probably remember this. Okay, you remember you'd always hear that the world was overpopulated.
Yeah.
Okay, and now you hear it's underpopulated.
Yeah, I guess I don't.
Like there's not enough people, so we need to.
People say that now?
Yeah.
Oh.
It's the opposite. It's like, Japan has too many old people. There's not enough young people now.
Oh, right.
So now where the economy's screwed.
Because we're not having kids anymore.
Yeah. It's like, well, now we're screwed because, you told us we can't have any kids. We're all going to die.
Yeah.
And now we're screwed because we don't have any kids. What is it, man?
Well, the funny thing is it's not overpopulated here. That's not what they're talking about. Like, we're good in North America. We're not even near, even South America. We're not even near overpopulated in a lot of these places. It's like,
Rwanda?
Maybe. I don't know.
Well, that's what they said happened in the 90s, eh?
Really?
They had the most Rwanda hit a point of people per square kilometer.
I was watching...
Right before they had the genocide. It was like a people per square kilometer thing.
I was watching this documentary about populations and how they grew, and apparently just like a lot of those cultures, like Asia and Africa and India, it's like because you have to work for your own stuff, you have your own food, get your water and stuff.
You're a subsistence farmer.
Yeah, the more kids you have, the more workers you have. So then there was this whole trend, or not trend, it was hundreds of years, people would just have kids, like, because, you have one kid, they help with this stuff. You have another one, then they could help this stuff.
Yeah, like a hunter-gatherer, it doesn't help you to have lots of kids.
No, that doesn't help.
You want to have 3 or 4, and they're 4 years apart or whatever.
And that's the thing.
But when you're a farmer, you can crank out the kids because you're all living here, and there's a house there, and there's just grain to eat.
But in a way, it doesn't actually help. Like, that's what they were saying. That's a lot of people thought it did. But because you're still, like, having to provide for all these people, and take care of their waste and all that other stuff, over time it ends up. That's why some of these places, and then like here, we're not having kids anymore. So it's like
I got 4, buddy.
It's kind of all balancing
making
out.
Up for you.
Yeah, I know. That's what I mean. I feel like my generation, like a lot of people I know, are way older than the generation before when they had kids. Like, I don't know. I live downtown Toronto too, so it's hard
here.
to
I'll tell you the thing. So, I was 32 and I had 4 kids.
You had 4 kids at 32.
32, yeah.
Wow.
32.
Like,
my wife was, we were 32. Okay. And
like,
so I'm the youngest.
She had kids when you guys got married?
Yeah,
or
we were married when we were really young.
Okay,
so,
okay.
I'm the youngest dad in my youngest class.
What?
I'm the youngest dad in my 4th kid's class.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Right? So,
yeah.
like a lot of people my age aren't having kids, right?
Wow.
And
you're the youngest dad
in my youngest class.
Okay.
Okay, so think about that for a second, right? And my kids go to a Christian school too.
Okay.
So that makes it even more likely or whatever.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Right? So most people are not having kids to their 30s. The other thing is, like, I'll go over to friends' houses and my kids babysit. Mm-hmm. My kids are babysitters.
Wow.
Now, when we go over. So people are having kids late in life and they're having 1 or 2 and that's it. Yeah, it's totally different, man. There's not a lot of people like me. It just doesn't exist.
Yeah. I mean, I grew up in Ottawa, and I felt like people had kids early there when I was growing up. Sure. Or like a lot of my friends that I knew then are having kids now. Like, they have kids in a house because the structure there is set up differently. Like, you can get a good government job in Ottawa pretty easily, and those pay like $70,000 starting something.
Plus, you got a pension.
And all that, and you're set up good. Like, the government is like already paying, and all that. So.
Benefits.
And there's nowhere, you're not going to leave and move to another city when you start off your career like that. This is not going to happen. Where are you going to go? Like, the government, those type of jobs are there. So then those people just get houses and then you're done. Like, and then the next step is you have a kid.
So you think it's because of financial insecurity?
Well, not that, but like, in a city like Ottawa, it's like it's a family-oriented city in my mind.
So is Uxbridge.
The way it's spread out, like anything, Oakville, like any of these places. But when you're downtown Toronto, it's like there's a lot of more independent business work and all that stuff, and that takes time. And you can't be in a relationship with some of these jobs, and like even doing stand-up, it's kind of hard, or like writing, creativity, because I find my focus is different. So it's like that. I think just setting yourself up. I think maybe when it comes down to it, financial security, probably. Like, you don't have a kid when you're not financially secure unless it's a mistake, usually an accident. Like, I assume most people aren't like, let's have a kid. We don't have money for ourselves.
Yeah, we can't. I can't pay the rent.
Yeah,
sure,
we definitely got
another one of these.
No, and I hope people don't do that. But some do because they get money from. Yeah, that's all.
Maybe
That's
a whole. That's not.
That's a whole nother
That's
thing.
too big of a rabbit hole.
yeah. Let's not go down that one.
So the winner of the Brantford Comedy Festival, okay, and performances with names like Silverman, that's a big one. Jerry D, Deborah DiGiovanni, John Doerr, Derek Edwards, and Todd Glass. So you won the festival. When was that?
That was like maybe 4 or 5 years ago. It was the first time they had that festival. Funny enough, I'm in the festival again this year. I'm going to be competing next month.
Okay.
Because the first year, there wasn't like it was good. It was a comedy festival and everything like that, but it didn't. They didn't really have like a huge prize. It was a small prize, and you get to open for like, you get a little bit of money. You get to open for this bigger comedian. I think it was Derek Edwards, and it was at a big. I think there was 1,900 people in the audience, something like that.
Okay.
So that was fun, but. This year, like the contest, the winner gets $10,000. So
that's all right.
Quite a different system. So and it's not like.
Does that attract a lot more comedians though?
Oh, of course, but they only let a certain amount in, and it's not too bad. Some contests love to drag these things on and have multiple dates, but this one is just like I go for a qualifying round, and then if I win that night, then I'm in the finals. That's it. So. The comedians on the list, they all have their different nights, but I looked on my night and I'm against like one of my like closest comedy friends for our round, which kind of sucks because I'd rather be in like the finals with him than have to only one of us makes it to the finals. But like we've been doing comedy for the same amount of time and we're just like our buddies, so it's kind of like annoying competing against a buddy.
Yeah, but you want the money, man.
Well, yeah, of course, but it's like. If I was competing against other people, I'd be like, all right, time to screw these people over. Who cares?
Yeah,
like, you know what I mean? But
no, you got
just
to
like,
take him down. He can't even think like
he's
that.
good. He's also a really good comedian, too, so that's why.
No, he's not. Compared to Daniel Woodrow, he's
okay.
nothing, man.
But it'll be
shit.
fun. I have to win. Like, I need that money to put into other things.
Sure, man. So what is it with comedians and, like, it seems like they need that desperation to get their material, though.
I was talking about that the other day. Yeah, it's funny.
It's like if you made it big, it'd be like, oh, what do I do now? Joke about being rich?
I feel like being self-employed, I feel like that anyways. Like when my money is up, I'm like chilling more. And then when my money is down, I'm like, oh, like finding so much work, finding all this stuff, right? So it's like, I feel like desperation is, I wish there was a way to always keep myself in some sort of state of desperation. I know that sounds sadistic, but.
You know what they say is that change cannot occur until the pain of staying the same exceeds the pain of change.
I couldn't agree more.
So it's not enough pain. It's not painful enough for you. You don't mind riding a little bit out on.
Right now I'm going through a solid amount of pain, so it's good. Like this year has been hard as hell, so I'm good. Like I'm getting that struggle nice, but like no, I shouldn't say struggle, but I just like the way I see it is like I want every year the next year to be better than the year before, right? I don't even if it stays the same in my mind, that's worse.
Yeah, for sure. I know what you want. You want to have some momentum.
If I see that it's stagnant 2, 3, 4 years, that's when you got to go, I got to figure something else out. This isn't working. That's not how a business works. So it's like, if it goes up and down, that's cool. If it stays the same, that's very dangerous. So it's just like I'm always
that means your career's plateauing.
Bigger. Yeah, and I don't think that's what's happening. I haven't really started yet.
No, yeah.
So.
Like if you're staying the same, if you look back at like 2016, 2017, there's a money thing. There's also the shows you were in and this kind of, you look at it and you go, man, I'm not going anywhere with this. That's scary. That
might be time to move. Like it's not, Toronto's kind of weird like that. There's a glass ceiling. Like there's only so many shows and you do all those shows, then you do them all over again. Like I don't know, but.
And there's a freshness that you need too, I think.
It is. And that's that's the part of the struggle thing. It's like when you're comfortable, then you just do the same set every week and then you just always do the same set. So easy, you get your paid, and that's it. But there's no life to that, I don't think.
That's not what gets you going with it.
No.
How do you come up with your material, man? What do you do?
I don't know. People ask me that so much. Tell me that. Like I'm a terrible writer. I'm a good writer, but it takes me so long to get a new idea. Like,
do you ever practice in the mirror?
No, not with stand-up, no. I think that's weird. I've never been that. I don't even practice. I practice on stage usually. Like, my writing is weird. It's like I'll tell you, I wrote a joke last night, and it usually I don't write all the time. Like, I write, maybe 10 minutes at a time, and I like to perfect that on stage, work it,
Do you write it down?
Yeah, 90% of the time, yeah. Okay. Sometimes, I used to not to, but it's stupid it doesn't make sense to not write it down.
Forget about it.
But I find, like, I'll see something that annoys. I kind of am always writing, but not physically on paper. Like I'll see. Okay, for example, my neighbor got these stupid pugs.
Dogs?
Yeah, I love dogs, but these. I hate pugs now because they always bark. Like, she puts them outside 8 in the morning. There's 4 of them. She has 4. And just ties them to her little railing at the front, and they just bark at each other for an hour and a half. Like, this is my life, right? Maybe several hours a day.
You should call like the city on that, man.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Like, they just like yip at each other. Yip, 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 yip. Last night, 3 a.m. they were outside. I don't understand what's going on, right? So it's like, so I just like, this annoyed me for so long, and I'm like, I gotta write a joke about it. Like, that's the kind of thing. So then I started thinking last night, I'm like, maybe Cruella de Vil wasn't such a bad person, because like, you know, if you lived across from 101 dogs, you'd probably want a jacket too, right?
Totally do.
And then that's where the joke came from.
Yeah,
it just like I just was like, I woke up and I was like, I gotta write that down.
Cruella de Vil,
yeah,
bro.
like I'm saying, like, have you ever thought of killing a puppy? Probably not. But lately, I thought of what it would be like to squeeze a dog's neck and see if its face would pop out to be normal.
For
like,
sure.
I've thought evil things about pugs. I would walk around with that
Dude,
jacket proudly.
Listen, man, if you're a parent and their baby won't shut up in the middle of the night,
Yeah,
dude,
you think awful things.
think,
I'm
oh
sure.
man, I could throw that thing out the window.
You would never do it, but
wanna
you would
sleep.
almost do
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Yeah. It's the thing. It's like there's something that, like that. Maybe she wasn't bad. She just saw a cute puppy. She wanted
someone had 100 freaking dogs.
Yeah,
maybe,
like
or
of course I'm gonna kill them. And then what are you gonna do with them? Might as well start a business and sell some
do a little
coats.
coat. Yeah.
She's an entrepreneur.
Yeah,
not an evil person.
She's gonna come on the show.
She's an entrepreneur.
She's coming on the Get a Grip on Life podcast, man. Come on, Cruella. What's it all about?
Cruella de Vil's my woman. Yeah, so
I kind of thought she was hot too.
Yeah, well, yeah, she's probably hot in her day, you know.
I mean, I don't know. I don't remember the physical one. I remember the cartoon Cruella.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Who wasn't?
Was there a movie?
Yeah,
With that
there was.
Cruella?
Yeah, it was played by what's her face, the best actor of all time,
Meryl Streep.
Yeah, didn't she?
I love Meryl Streep.
Was
too.
it Meryl Streep that played? Is it? Yeah. That's crazy. But like, I
was
also Meryl Streep was. I'm sure she was.
Are you kidding me? If you go back to the Deer Slayer, Meryl Streep.
She's hot, right? Yeah.
Oh, dude, she's
She's
pretty.
been an actor for so long.
Go Deer Slayer with Robert De Niro. Do you remember that? You know that movie?
Yeah.
Deer
I don't think I've seen it.
Slayer?
Deer Hunter.
I think
Deer Hunter.
Oh, you got to go.
Gotta
go. I don't know. Netflix doesn't have anything anymore.
I know.
You try to get something on Netflix now, you can't get it
Somebody
anymore.
told me that Disney is starting their own streaming service. So like all Disney stuff will be removed from Netflix, or most. That's what I heard. I don't know.
It was Glenn Close.
Oh, Glenn Close, the other Meryl Streep.
The other Glenn Close is not hot.
I'm just
Meryl
joking.
Streep is hot.
I thought it was Meryl Streep. No, it's Glenn Close. No, we sound like idiots. Oh well, everything I said is a lie. I don't know
the
anything.
whole thing.
But that's
your
good
whole
to know.
your whole life is a lie.
Yeah.
It's all a big joke.
Oh yeah, it is literally. This is the thing. It's like when when you're filling out forms like tax forms, important government forms, other forms. There's no category for comedy. Like
You're sole proprietor.
Yeah, they're just like, what do you do? Like full-time employed, part-time
What
employed,
about?
unemployed.
Let me ask you this: do you have a visa for the United States?
Not yet. No, I haven't gone through the process yet.
Because I'm a person of interest to the U.S. Customs and Border Patrol Agency now for podcasting in the United States. Because recording a podcast within the United States is considered illegally working in the United States.
But there's no.
I get paid to do it. Come on, man.
So you were in the States when you did?
Yeah, I was sitting with I flew from the Toronto Island Airport, so there's no customs. In Pearson, you go through customs.
How did you go? How did you fly from Toronto?
Toronto Island to Chicago, dude. The Porter Airways.
Oh.
Porter flies out of...
What?
Yeah, Porter flies out of the Toronto Island to
And
Chicago.
they don't have security at Porter.
They do have security, but it's very very light. Yeah. It's not like Pearson, and you can just kind of jump on and get there real quick. It's half an hour, but there's no customs there.
That's so
you have to clear customs at Midway in Chicago.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm rolling in hot. I got all my gear, right? And the lady's like, and I have my Nexus, right? So I swipe my Nexus, and she's like, "Excuse me, sir, come over here." I'm like, I have this black box, right? Which totally like a loser move because it's like
it's
you carry a box like that. Of course they're gonna ask you what's in it.
Yeah, no matter what.
Like what an idiot.
Anything from gun to yeah, of course.
It's like you got to. What's in the box? I say, it's just some recording equipment. What are you recording? I record a podcast. You get paid to record the podcast?
That's when you say no.
Hey, man, the problem with that is, you know.
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, sort of. She's like, okay, you need to sit
lie.
down over here, okay? And now I'm in the room with them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So this Chief Chavez comes out. Oh, sorry, Chief. Chief Beep, right, Matt?
His name's, you actually said his name.
So he comes out. And he's like, I'm like, oh, man, I got to go to this award ceremony tonight. I'm going to win an award for my podcast, man. Please, buddy, please, man. Please let me go. He's like, you finished? I'm like, yeah. He's like, son, you can call me sir.
Oh, my.
You can call me Chief, or you can call me Chief Chavez. but I'm not your buddy, and I'm not a man. Or it's like, and then you just say you're
Jesus.
done. It's
It's
over.
just like,
yeah,
you just put your head down.
it's over.
Why did you have to get Chief beep?
Like Chiefy?
Why did you have to get him?
Oh, dude. So then he's like, so then we're
He's just waiting in the back. He's like, finally.
Yeah, he's like, okay, all this stuff's on the internet for me. I'm like, yeah, it's on the internet. So he goes, he looks, he's like, so episode thing, was recorded in Portland, Oregon.
Oh no!
I said, yeah. He goes, you know that's in the United States, right? Yes, sir. So, okay. And episode was in.
He really did his research.
Yeah, he went and looked at my podcast on the internet.
Yeah,
I was like, okay, yeah. I'm like, oh man, if you could let me in again. I'm like, sir, Sir Chief Chavez, please let me in. There's an award ceremony tonight. I'm gonna get an award, all this sort of stuff. And he's like, you finished? I'm like, yeah. He's like, okay. We have two options here. You can voluntarily leave the United States of America. Or I can deport you. What would you like to do? Again, it's like
it's like, you want to say, how badly did you want to say, well, deport me, motherfucker? But then you'd never be.
No, I would never say that. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
So I came back the next day and they let me in, though.
What?
Yeah.
Without your equipment?
Yeah, dude, come on.
So they still
they brought me back in.
So you're good. There's going to be a note for sure.
Oh, yeah, every time I cross the border now, I have to go prove to them. I mean, I respect the laws of the United States of America, seriously. U.S. Customs and Border Patrol Agency.
And we
respect your laws.
Trump.
I have no rights. I have no rights as a citizen. I get it. And I'm working on getting my visa, okay? So but I won't record anything till I have it, I promise.
And when 100%. I apply for mine, I have not worked in America ever, and I love Donald Trump.
God bless America.
I don't actually love Donald Trump. Sorry, I have to say it because I don't want this to be cut up weird. And
Make America great again.
It's like we have guest Daniel Woodrow. I love Donald Trump, and that's the whole promo. I can't deal with that in my life. So. There's not even ever an episode. They just have.
You don't want to make America great?
No, I want to make America great again. I don't know what accent that was. That was like 3 or 4 in one.
Make America great again.
Yeah. Yeehaw.
There you go. Daniel Woodrow, thank you for coming on the show,
Sick.
man. That was awesome,
that was a good
bro.
ending.
Yeah, I loved it.
That was fun. Thank you.
Yeah, man.
Thank you for that. That was a good time.
Yeah. Yo, man. GetAGripStudios.com. What are you talking about? Fully virtual. You can bring your guests in from around the world. Around the world. That's right. You don't have to worry about the technical side. And believe me, I go back crazy when the technical side wasn't working back on episode number 8 of my other podcast. It's crazy, man. All the technical issues and trying to bring people in virtually, trying to produce shows, cameras not working, didn't record properly, then you got to do your RSS feeds, render the video, edit it, add introductions, put it out on Twitter. Like, it's a lot of work, man. And GetAGripStudios.com can help you with that. If you have a real message, if you have something you need to say, worry about saying it. Don't worry about the technical side. Don't worry about hey, you may be great with social media, fine. What about production and recording? What about the studio? What about the virtual? Why worry about all that stuff, man? Come on, dude. You know what you need to do. You need to go to GetAGripStudios.com. Check it out. Give us a call. We're happy to discuss your show with you. But Daniel Woodrow, man, you're the man, dude. I got to check out your comedy club. I think I'm going to do it. I'm going to get down there and see you live because you are hilarious, dude. Check out all his Facebook and his Instagram and all that sort of stuff. It's all linked on our website. And Daniel, hey, man, really enjoyed the time I spent with you. You're a super cool guy, and I hope you make it big, brother. That's episode number 9 of the Get a Grip on Life podcast.